I started using drugs when I was 13 years old.
All through my 20s, I spent using drugs, selling drugs, and just doing anything I could to get the drugs.
I was on my grandpa's ranch. I'd just do it all throughout the day.
It doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor. I got real rich friends that do it. I got real poor friends that do it.
I felt like I was part of the family on one side of it, but then there was the hidden side as leading this life of stealing and using drugs.
And he'd say, "Mom, it's no problem. I've got it handled. I'm going to be able to stop taking these pills."
I started with pot, like most people probably do, alcohol, cigarettes, and eventually moved up to methamphetamine and went on to cocaine and eventually ended up on heroin.
I did not have a life. I mean, I owned a multi-million-dollar advertising firm and I couldn't function.
My husband packed the children and left. I had no idea where they were, but none of that mattered. All that mattered was smoking crack.
And my parents, brother and sisters are just baffled. You know, how can somebody that supposedly has so much be so miserable and keep throwing his life away?
And I remember my mother saying to me one day, "You're going to die if you don't get help." I wanted to have my life back and my family back. And that's when my mother found Narconon.
Narconon Arrowhead, located on the shores of Lake Eufaula in southeast Oklahoma, is the premier facility of the International Narconon Drug and Alcohol Rehabilitation Network. Using a new, proven approach to rehabilitation, Narconon Arrowhead brings fresh hope, new thought, and unique perspective to a field seriously in need of workable solutions. Narconon was founded in 1966 by William Benitez, a heroin addict and inmate in Arizona State Prison. After discovering the works of humanitarian L. Ron Hubbard in the prison library, Mr. Benitez wrote to the author for help and advice. And Mr. Hubbard responded by dedicating himself to the development of what has become the Narconon Drug Rehabilitation Program of today.
We approach addiction and rehabilitation from the viewpoint that we expect long-term, stable recovery. We consider that it is our responsibility to produce it, not that we're lucky if we get it. And therefore, and statistically, we see those results around the world over 30 years, that the great majority of our students stay stably drug-free, crime-free, and are living productive lives.
One of the unique factors about the program is the care factor of the staff. You have people that have walked the walk, and they understand what it's like to be addicted, and they really care about the individual coming in. And I think that is probably the first thing that most people who are coming into the program at first realize, that these people are here, and they are here to help me.
And it's that care and that help, along with Narconon's proven results, which brings sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, husbands and wives back to their families. Our goal at Narconon is simple: to put the addict back in control of his life.
I was on 90 milligrams of methadone for 5 years, heroin almost 10, selling, large quantities of marijuana and cocaine, and I've been shot 3 times. I've just basically lived a wild life, pills, crack, everything. I mean, that's what I did. I partied.
Once I started smoking crack cocaine, every choice stopped. The only thing I had was, how was I going to get more money? How was I going to get more dope? And how could I smoke it as fast as I could so I could start that cycle over again?
I lost everything, more or less. There was not one thing left. I mean, I had no morals, I had no ethics, I had no integrity, I had no uprightness. I did not have one penny in my pocket. I didn't have a home no more. I didn't have a family no more.
I began using pain pills. I continued to go see doctors. And the more I was prescribed the pain pills, the more that became the solution, the only solution I was looking for. But it wasn't to relieve the pain. It was then to feel normal.
Many of the staff members at Narconon Arrowhead are graduates of the program themselves, so we know the strain that drug addiction puts on families. We understand what it's like to be trapped in the cycle of addiction. For the parents and family members, the subject of drug rehabilitation can be heartbreaking. And for the addict, all too often, it can seem hopeless.
And that hurt, you know, when you look in the mirror and know that you don't know what to do about it. You're just stuck. You don't have any idea what to do. You done been to AA and they told you you're powerless, so you're like, well, I ain't got no choice then, might as well do it, you know. I'm always gonna be an addict, they tell me so.
I kind of asked her, I mean, what do you think my chances are, I mean, with this treatment? And she said, to be honest with you, I mean, the percentages of persons that overcome crack addiction is about 1%. And I found that to be extremely hopeless. I went home and I told my mom, and I said, it's, you know, she told me it's a 1% chance. I said, why do I even need to go back?
We've seen her go into other rehabs, stood there right at the counter. They would give her another, when she was having a tough evening, a drug for another drug. When we left, I told my husband, this won't work. It can't be. Sure, she's not getting the drug she was on, but they're replacing it with another drug, just as bad, if not worse.
The human body is made up of certain exact chemicals and chemical compounds, and complex chemical processes go on continuously within it. When these chemicals are balanced, an individual feels good, mentally and physically. But when an individual uses alcohol or drugs, whether street drugs or pharmaceuticals, this delicate balance is disrupted. After a person stops abusing drugs or alcohol, their body will, in time, readjust and eventually restore its chemical balance. But that doesn't solve the problem. If it did, there would be more success with traditional 30-day treatment programs. The driving force behind drug addiction is the mental and physical cravings for drugs, and those cravings are the obstacle preventing the addict from full recovery.
The drug cravings were the worst thing that I have ever experienced, and it was just like this thing was taking over me. I remember at the one rehab that I did get out of, I remember driving right after I got out, and I called my dealer, you know, and I got in the car and I was like, I'm coming down, and I was driving, and I remember thinking, this isn't what you want to be doing, and my body kept going. And I was like, I don't even have control over my physical self anymore, you know, it was like I was going.
You know, over the years, they got stronger and stronger. You know, I'd go to work and I'd still think about, you know, getting off and going to go get high and, you know, go get drunk, and just, I couldn't control my urges, you know, I was just totally lost, you know. I was focused on that and that was it.
I would wake up in the morning and my first, you know, goal was how was I gonna get crack today? And that I had to have it. And the physical cravings were so overwhelming that I pushed everything in my life aside to go get the drug. That's all I could see and feel and hear.
Heroin's like, wake up in the morning and be like, man, where can I get $50 to go get some heroin? Then once you get some, you come back home, you're like, man, where can I get some more money, get some more heroin? It's like, it's all you devote your life to is just heroin, nothing else.
The key to recovery, then, is understanding the mechanism that sets into motion these intense cravings. In the late 1970s, L. Ron Hubbard, having spent more than 30 years researching drugs and their effect on the body, mind, and spirit, made a breakthrough discovery. His findings, later published in the book Clear Body, Clear Mind, proved